Yogendra Yadav, eminent political scientist, writer and academic. Good evening. Yogendra.
Good evening.
Yogendra ji, you are among the very eminent signatories to this statement and appeal by concerned citizens to Team Anna. Is this a call to Team Anna to launch a political party?
No, Arnab. We have simply mentioned the word political alternative, an alternative kind of politics. And the basic point that we have made is simply this, that a deep and long struggle against corruption cannot possibly sidestep politics. That this team has seen the character of the government, has also seen the character of the opposition. And we now know that the entire mainstream of politics in this country is not going to deliver on anything significant on corruption. And if Team Anna wants to take on corruption in a serious way, then they have to take on politics, the positive challenge of providing political alternatives. How that political alternative is to be provided, what organizational forms it will take, what kind of relationship it would have to electoral politics, that is not for us to spell out. Those are things that they have possibly to discover.
But the interpretation has been that they would launch a political party. Is that the wrong interpretation?
No, it's not a wrong interpretation, I should say, because we simply gave an open call to provide political alternative. Some of them have interpreted it as political party. Some of them have seen it as leading to contesting election in the short run. That is one possible way of doing it. There can be other ways of doing it as well. I would only hope that whatever decision they take is not arrived at in haste, that 2014 election and the votes and seats are not the only thing they are looking at, that they address the very deep and long-term need of our system for not just for a political alternative, but for an alternative kind of politics.
I'm looking at it from a different perspective, Yogendra ji, and I want to open this up to debate, because if now, suppose say tomorrow, this group says we will consider and discuss how to influence politics, then what would have happened is, and I want our other panelists in Delhi to also come in on that, is that A, their focus on the Lokpal would have got diluted. B, their moral authority would have been lost because they are now seen openly as open to politics. C, the fast would also be behind them. So the pressure building over the last 9 days would also be a matter of the past. So really they have pushed themselves into a corner today by talking so openly about it, that if they don't get into direct political arena tomorrow, they would be neither here nor there. Isn't that how it's going to pan out? What do you think, Ryan? If tomorrow they say, no, we are not making a political party, we'll be a political force. We've always been a political force. You brought parliament to a standstill. So what is new about saying we're going to be a political force? The fast will be history. The singular focus on the Lokpal would be lost. The moral authority would be compromised. So, they're going to have to rework a lot of things from scratch if they don't join a political party. Do they have that luxury anymore? Mr. Karanjiawala and our Delhi panelists, what do you think?
I think two things will have to be done. First of all, they will have their basic contention is not just the Lokpal, it's also anti-corruption. Lokpal is just part of that chunk, because when you're anti-corruption, Lokpal is part of the alternate to ensuring that corruption doesn't exist. They'll have to take that platform forward. They'll have to go among the masses. They'll have to test the waters. They'll probably, what they'll do is they'll look at the assembly elections which are coming, take a few seats, test the waters over there, put up a few candidates, see how they do. If they do well, then they'll gain courage and go forward further. If they don't, then they'll have to halt, they'll have to stop, and they'll have to start moving backwards.
No.
Because in these kind of movements, you either go forward or you wither away.
I get what you're saying.
You can't just stand at a static point of time,
but
this is
it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22. Yes, I think Vani wants to come in. Vani wants to come in.
Hunger fast is not going to work for them.
Arnab,
then they'll have to find an alternate, and this is probably what they're looking and feeling their way around. Frankly, in the next few days, time will tell as to whether they really will have the impact that they hope to have. I personally feel, at least in some of the, considering the fact that they've drawn large crowds, considering the fact that these crowds come voluntarily, considering the fact that these crowds really feel that Anna is just an articulation of what they themselves believe, I do really feel that this possibly is a movement that could take off.
No, but you know, Yogendra is making it very clear.
And it also started as an anti-corruption movement along these lines.
See,
and it took off in a.
You see, Yogendra.
Obviously, it took a political hue. And obviously, he had to get into alignment with people.
You see, Yogendra is singularly making it very clear.
So time will have to tell as to how Anna goes about it.
Yeah, Ryan, I get your point, but you see, Yogendra Yadav is making very clear today. I am not telling them, he says, to launch a political party. I said to them, and I want to quote from this letter, they say, focus your energies on creating an alternate political force that is democratic, accountable, ethical and non-violent and capable of leading an electoral revolution to democratize and decentralize power and make the power structures of the country more accountable to the people. So there is a talk of electoral politics now. Question is, is there a political party who they will support? If they can't support the BJP...
Yogendra Yadav may give one suggestion.
No, they can't support the BJP. My question back to Yogendra Yadav is this. Yogendra Yadav, tell me, they can't support some other political party because then, you know...
Arnab,
Absolutely, Arnab, if I'm speaking...
I
really think the movement has moved forward from being a movement which at one point was seen to be out and out anti-politics, after which it was seen for some time to be anti-Congress and by implication pro-BJP. I think today's movement is a movement away from these anti positions. It is now clear that the movement is moving away from these small games and into a much bigger and of course more risky game about giving a political alternative which has electoral dimension to it. This is of course difficult. This would get them into many kinds of problems, and it's not clear if the support that they have got from the people would easily translate into numbers. These are tough questions, and I would like Team Anna to be more aware of the difficulties that lie ahead.
Well, you know, they are getting into very tricky situation. Vani wanted to come in. Vani, yes. Yes, Vani, you want to respond to what Yogendra said?
Arnab, when Mr. Yadav was speaking, when he came into the debate, what my mind needs to understand sitting here, looking at the movement, how it unfolded in the past couple of months is that he says both the government and the opposition. What does he mean, both the government and the opposition? Of course, this is not an anti-X and an anti-Y situation. It is about the most important concern in front of the country, which is the anti-corruption drive, which is a space that political parties sitting in the opposition have created. Otherwise, I'm again bringing back the memory of that fateful 28-29 December last year, the 3-point formula that we had given about the removal and the appointment of the Lokpal, the legislative powers of the state, and also the investigative agency being autonomous. If the government would have accepted it that day, the Lokpal bill would have passed. So how can you put both the opposition and the government under the same ambit, number one? Number two, if this is a movement scripted by the people of the country, and if this movement really wants to reach out to the people electorally, then so be it. But again, the clarity of thought should be that we are going to the people with a clear indication that we want a strong Jan Lokpal and anti-corruption is what we want. We are anti so-and-so, we are pro so-and-so. I think this is really not
they will decide.
Movement.
You are a national secretary. Sorry, Vani, how can you decide for them?
As the most important
No, how can you decide for them? You can't decide for them.
No, we are not deciding, but I want
Mr. Yadav has made his position clear.
We are not deciding, but I am saying Mr. Yadav should explain what does he mean to say the government and the opposition. What can the government do? It can only moot the bill. The bill cannot be tabled by us in the House. We have done our best to, bring it out in the open and have it passed. But the government has no intent to do so. It's very clear.
Well, I think Arun Jaitley, Rajiv Pratap, Rudy and Bhupender Yadav are all members of the select committee. So they have as many members as you have as many members as the BJP. So let me make it very clear to you that today, if that select committee has not been able to move on the Lokpal in the form promised, then the BJP is as responsible for it as the Congress. But I think Yogendra Yadav is more equipped to answer your question. 1 minute. You have asked Yogendra Yadav tonight, and he's coming on Times Now after a long time. I thank him for that. Now, question is that you have asked him tonight, who is he to say that this is going to be equidistant from Congress and the BJP? Let him answer. Mr. Yadav, your turn, sir.
Of course, I'm nobody to answer on behalf of Team Anna because I really don't represent them. I'm a well-wisher, a friend who has made a few suggestions. My reading of the movement today is that they represent a disenchantment, not just with the government. This is how it seemed at some point last year. Today, they represent a disenchantment with the entire political class, with the mainstream of politics in this country. And as you rightly said, if the Lokpal bill has not been passed, it's not only government, it is opposition as well. It is the entire political establishment of this country which has shown that they are not serious about any anti-corruption law which can possibly affect them. That's a fact. The question, and that possibly has got Anna movement to rethink their strategy and to come up with this big step, big, risky, but a step in the right direction.
Yes, I think that answers it. But I want to ask Shiv Khera once again. Shiv Khera, 1 minute. Shiv Khera, 1 minute, Vani. Vani, 1 minute. 1 minute, Vani. 1 minute, Vani. You know, you can't draw political mileage of what they are going to do. Because the BJP would want that this team becomes a flanking strategy for the Bharatiya Janata Party. You see, they may not want to.
No, absolutely not.
No,
I'm not here to take any political.
My question is to Shiv Khera. One second, Vani, I'll come back to you. Shiv Khera wants to come into the debate. Go ahead, Mr. Khera. You know what we are talking about. Go ahead.